proud name of We Are Change Connecticut, wearechangeCT.org, and this is Truth Talk News. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when we practice to deceive. So much deception going on today, especially with this debt crisis nonsense. We are in no closer to default than many countries. And the truth is that China is really upset about it. And they're already putting out this alliance, China and Russia and the New World Order, to move towards a one world currency. So this is more of the death knell of the dollar and more propaganda to say why, oh, look at the value of the debt is so great, and you can't pay your bills on the interest of the debt. We can. It's on record. It's verifiable that we have plenty of revenue at this point, so far, to fund the government and pay all our obligations. We need to cut the government. So these sequesters, nobody's feeling the sequesters. Small segment is, but the average American is, and I know that most of you watching aren't feeling sequester. What is that? They don't even know what it is. And the same thing goes for the fact the government is down. We are still operating, not shut down. Certainly there's people that are hurting in this, but if we could work a way around this instead of bringing these people back into this government, but keeping them out and getting them in the private sector, would certainly be the best move for our country. And we should continue to shrink the size of our government, because this is one of the reasons why we are failing. And overregulation is another reason why we're failing. And nepotism and corporate greed and corporate cronyism and positions in the FDA and all the other rest of the alphabet soup is certainly causing a collectivization or collectivizing, or it is collectivism under a UN-based Agenda 21 protocol, which calls for Codex Alimentarius to control the food supply and banning all natural substances, as quackery, and continuing the medical mafia, pharmaceutical cartels' assault on humanity. Obamacare is just another nail in the coffin of America. Freedom, liberty, and everything else. Socialism is coming. It's here. We're in it. So what happens on Saturday night? The Walmart shelves in Springfield and Mansfield, Louisiana, as reported on Channel 12, KSLA TV, were raided. People were going nuts because their food stamp cards had no limit, and they were just going wild, and they were packing the place up. And for 2 hours they went on. They called authorities at Walmart. High-level people at Walmart said, let them do it. Of course, Walmart benefited by this, and then when they cut it off, it stopped. People were leaving truckloads of cartfuls of food unattended that had to be put back. The greed. So Walmart prospers. Those that benefit there from the government, and we pay, they get free food, and we pay to fund these programs. And the relationships between Walmart and all the other major corporations and our government officials. What a shock that Walmart gets this glitch and such a boom, right? And on the other side of the coin, Xerox, who controls people in Ohio, Michigan, and 15 other states, had their system shut down, and people couldn't get any food. And people were freaking out. Interestingly enough, as this thing shut down, people were able to spend up to $50 until the system was restored, but people were going crazy. People were hungry. People were saying that's the whole problem. You don't want hungry children going hungry because of the stupidity. Well, the stupidity is that we're letting this happen. And that was reported in the AP, by the way. So we have a serious, serious problem in this country with these programs. And now these systems are breaking down while all of this stuff happens to happen in those states, which happen to be in FEMA Region 3, many of them. Many of the states mentioned happen to be in FEMA Region 3. So there is scuttlebutt of a lot of activity, military activity, and this might have just been a little bit of a psyop, a little bit of a beta test going on here, possibly. Certainly the fact that it was Pennsylvania, Virginia, Maryland, all in FEMA Region 3. There are other states as well, and there was reports of FEMA Region 4 being having a lot of activity recently as well. I have a video on this. Something is brewing in FEMA Region 3. Just Google that and you'll get the video. Things are definitely escalating, and strange occurrences are happening. And while this is all going on, China is now calling for a de-Americanization of the world. This is China's viewpoint that since we're irresponsible and we can default on our debt at any time, that we should be starting to de-Americanize the world. And to some extent they're right, because the wealth is being stolen from the American people by fraud, manipulation, market manipulation, bailouts, crony capitalism, outright racketeering, greed, corruption, and everything else that can go under the sun. Everybody is personally trying to get as much as they can, steal and siphon from the system as they enslave society, saying that they're helping the masses of society, especially these crooked politicians in the Congress, working for the corporate interests that I mentioned previously. People like Michael R. Taylor and John P. Holdren, the gurus of this social engineering scientific dictatorship that they're putting into place. The world should de-Americanize, says China. The looming prospect of a U.S. default. It's not a U.S. default. What they're fearing is the loss of the dollar. And that's what's really coming. And the fact is that they are working on alternative currencies and replacing the dollar as the world's currency. And it's going to be replaced. And they're going to destroy millions of American jobs in the process, as they have been doing, slowly, incrementally. It's going to come a little faster. Everything is happening faster. Wouldn't you agree that the events, for those that have been following the New World Order and the events of the last 20 years, you can categorically say that the last 3 years, things have never been as fast, moving ever quicker, and things getting more and more Orwellian and beyond Orwellian with what's going on here. And now the T4 program that'll be put into place with Obamacare. Oh my God, it's just going to be unreal. Big money is turning away from the United States in 2014 because they know that something's coming. So all the money forces are pulling their money and resources out of the United States because there is a collapse coming. The dollar is on the sunset, and it is absolutely going to take a fall against as being the supreme currency of the world, despite any patriotic, nationalistic, propagandized mind control that any American might be under. Albeit, you should be patriotic, and this is the greatest country in the world. We have been hijacked by criminal bankers who intend to enslave us in a socialist, totalitarian, one-world government that will make what Hitler did look like, you know, a trip to the movies. Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev told his finance ministers that the Russian government is temporarily seizing $7.6 billion in savings from non-state pension funds when it carries out inspections to ensure that the money Russians channel to private pensions is safe. God, is that frightening. So to do this, it's going to seize 244 billion rubles, which is the equivalent of $7.6 billion from the private non-governmental pension funds, and forcibly, but only temporarily, of course, place them into the Russian government state pension fund. The Russian authorities claim they're only going to be holding the money for 1 year while they check to see that the banking institutions are sound. So the Russian government's explanation of why they need to seize retirement funds doesn't even constitute a good cover story. Many analysts state that the temporary borrowing of Russian pension funds by the government looks more like a case of government confiscation of these private funds in anticipation of a coming crash. This is from Dave Hodges in the Activist Post, and I can't agree more. There's certainly some stuff going on. A whole bunch of things financially are happening, and we have all sorts of perfect storm brewing here is really what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen. And we don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be big. And there is a big event coming. And everybody can feel it. Everybody that's been following this and working towards waking the people up senses that it's getting closer. And hopefully, whatever it is, we can capitalize on waking up vast amounts of people so they can understand what's really going on here. When we prove to the world that we were right and what was happening is happening. Until they silence our voices or try to and take away our guns, we will fight. And in the course of that battle, millions will be awakened. Some silently, some will be brave enough to speak out. And true patriots will die for this country. Not for Goldman Sachs, not for Exxon, Mobil, Citibank, Union Carbide, any of these criminal corporations, Dow Chemical, Monsanto. But they're killing you. Make no mistake about it. Reading from Dave Hodges' sensational article, the Treasury Department is taking federal retirement programs. The very close friends of Goldman Sachs over at Citigroup have their henchmen in charge of the continuing rape of America by Wall Street. Treasury Secretary Jack Lew, let me be clear, and Lew, you can sue me if this was not true, that it is a fact that Obama appointed one of the criminals who had a major hand in bringing down the economy to run the country's finances. While at Citigroup, Lew oversaw 113 tax-evading accounts in the Cayman Island banks. While at Citigroup, Lew oversaw 113 tax-evading accounts in Cayman Island banks. Based upon Lew's resume, hedge funds for Citigroup, where he lost almost $600 million, one can only assume that is why Obama has appointed Lew to finish the job which will leave you and me with nothing. Lew began his theft of public retirement accounts by beginning with federal workers in the same manner as the Russian government. Our government is not the enemy. This is not the government we are dealing with. The American people are battling organized crime in the form of corporations like Goldman Sachs, who have hijacked our government. They are lining up for a last great garage sale before they collapse the economy and roll out martial law. There are forces lining up to steal everything that you and I own, and it has already begun. But this country is so dumbed down, we do not see that it has already started. Don't be sheeple, people. Be the change you wish to see in the world. Go to wearechangect.org. I'm Howard Nima. Thank you for watching Truth Talk News, where news the mainstream media ignores is the top story. For more truth, subscribe to Freedom First Films on YouTube and Truth Talk News on livestream.com.